Good evening, everyone. I think we'll start. So my name's Mark Fernandez. I'm a student here at Tara Institute. I've been attending for about 35 years, so my teachers are His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, who's the founder of this group of centres, and also the resident teacher here, the Venerable Geshe Doga. So they're my three principal teachers. So hopefully what I've learnt from some of what I've learned from them will be passed over tonight and is of benefit to you. So I'm going to discuss a number of different topics in this introduction to Buddhism. So this is the last Monday night in January, so next Monday is a public holiday, so we won't have a class on, but I'm going to cover a continuation of what I've been doing the last few weeks. But first up, is there anyone new to Tara Institute or new to Monday nights? Yes, so welcome. But everyone else has been coming or has come before. Great. Okay, very good. So I'll just recap briefly. So in Buddhism, motivation is very important. So there's put a lot of store, particularly in this tradition of Buddhism, on your motivation for doing things. And even in worldly life, if we have a good motivation, generally we'll put some effort into getting the result that we're after. Might not always succeed, but that motivation propels us to put effort into something, into a task. So in Buddhism, because the motivation is tied to action, then generally, if we develop a good motivation at the beginning of the day, for instance, then generally we will approach our day in a much more positive manner than if we wake up with a so-so motivation, or even one that's disconsolate or depressed. It's very hard to lift ourselves if we start that way, but if we start with a good motivation, it brings with it its own energy. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. And in Buddhism, they talk about the three wisdom tools. So I'll be talking about those three in a little bit more detail tonight. So the first wisdom tool is listening. So it's what you're doing now, and it's what I try and do when I listen to the venerable teachers. The next wisdom tool is contemplation. So this can be called, thinking about or ruminating. So it's really just, I've heard something, I've read something, or I've overheard someone saying something, and then you start putting your own cognitive processes to it. So sort of investigation, looking more deeply into something, analysing, coming to your own conclusions. So that's very important as well, because one of the characteristics about human beings, particularly in this world, is that we have a very sharp, discriminating mind. So we can do that. We're not, if you like, our minds are not dull by nature. So we've got the capacity to actually investigate quite sharply and come to conclusions. So we're fortunate in that way. So we use that wisdom tool of contemplation, and some of the topics I'm talking about, I'll be talking about tonight, they cover aspects of contemplation and how we can make use of them. And the last wisdom tool is meditating, or meditation. So this one is, you've done the listening and you've thought about whatever the topic is that you're interested in, and then you do some meditation on it. So it sort of follows that sequence, but you can also jump to the meditation too if you find the topic is compelling. And there are a few different types of meditation that we do in Buddhism. The first one is generally it's one to build concentration. So the breathing meditation that we'll do a little bit later is a good example of that. So just calming the mind, settling the mind down, keeping it sort of sharp but relaxed, and we just focus on the breath. So you can develop very strong concentration for that, and then you go, well, it's good in meditation, I can do it for a minute, a few minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, and then you go, well, what happens after the meditation? Does it have any effect on me? And so that's something for you to examine. So I would posit that there are some effects from meditation, particularly something like a breathing meditation, which are there, apparent, because you'll notice your mind maybe coming from a state of excitement, agitation, and when you start the meditation, and then as you focus on the breathing, that your mind becomes more relaxed, but still quite sharp. So at the end of the meditation, you're hopefully seeing a state where you're more relaxed, calm, and clear. And we can only do that if that's if our nature is that. Does everyone get that point? Because that's a Buddhist point too, that the nature of the mind is pure and clear. But most of the time we have lots of emotions and thoughts flying around, so it's very hard to to fathom that. But if you do something like breathing meditation, where you're just subduing the mind, just allowing yourself to focus on the breathing, then it rests in its natural state, and you can actually perhaps perceive that, oh, well, actually my mind is clear. It's clean and clear at that point. So, and in Buddhism, we spend a lot of time covering quite a few topics, but one of them is generating happiness, in particular inner peace and happiness. So although there are external conditions for happiness, and we need those, we need resources, we need clothing, we need food, shelter, relationships, we need all those things. The most important thing from the Buddhist point of view is developing inner peace or inner happiness. So if you have that, whatever happens in your external conditions, they won't drive your own inner happiness down or way up. You'll stay at a happy level. So that's one of the key, tenets or ideas about Buddhism. So the other idea that flows on from that, and this flows on also from a positive motivation leading to generally a positive result, is the idea about action and results. Sometimes it's called karma or the law of cause and effect. So that's a deep topic too, and you go, but it's good to see if it actually makes sense, because that was one of the key teachings of the Buddha, was that idea that we're not relying on a creator, a God or creator, to bring us our happiness or fortune, fame, long life, whatever we desire. We're not relying on an external being to go, oh, Mark, yes, you're going to pass away at 65. That's it, boom. We say that, no, in Buddhism we're one of the religions that says, no, there's no creator dictating how long I live. So then when you wind it back, what are the conditions that will bring about Mark's passing away? Then it comes back to me. And that the law of cause and effect. So what is the result that's going to drive my long life or short life? So we say it's actions and results bringing that about. So past actions bringing about a result in the present or the future. Okay, so I covered this in the first week and a little bit last week. So in Buddhism, there's also a strong emphasis on examining the causes of problems or problematic minds. So it's tied to happiness in that the cause of unhappiness is generally some sort of mind, a problematic mind that we have. So again, it's not excluding that there are external causes for happiness and resources, but it's saying that the main arbiter of whether we're happy or not is that that mental state. So if we have problematic minds all the time, then it's very hard for all of us, I think. So would anyone like to give me an example of a problem or problematic mind that we may have from time to time, if not all the time? Impatience, yes, yes. So it's quite subtle, isn't it? Because you go, you need motivation. I want to achieve something, and you need some ambition. Again, very similar, isn't it? Oh, I want to get there and do this, and it might be very well, good motivation for that. But when it doesn't come about straight away, or when we think it should, then that builds up that impatience, as you said. And on its own, you say, it's fine, I'm just a little bit, But generally what happens with impatience, it leads to another emotion. Does anyone know what that would be? Anger, yes, that's right. So it can lead to anger. So anger's, and I'll cover this again in a bit more detail, but it's a strong emotion. So it can, if you like, be nowhere in our mind, as in it's not at the front of our mind, but if you get the conditions for it to rise, it can come up quite quickly, so that it becomes all-encompassing. That's all that's in our mind, is that anger. And from that, in terms of causes and results, we can say things that we don't mean, or harm someone we didn't really want to do harm, or generally destructive behaviour can come out of anger. So, and in terms of the Buddhist idea of cause and effect, they say that if you've got this store, if the person has a store of lots of positive potential or energy that they've accumulated over time, that anger can destroy that in an instant. Just like that. And you go, well, hold on, if you've got this much store and one little moment of anger, how can it? And that's one of the things about the law of cause and effect, is that a small seed can lead to a small result or a big result. And similarly, an action like that done to the wrong person or in the wrong circumstances or creating lots of harm can destroy a lot of positive potential. Does everyone understand that idea? So impatience is a great example, because it can lead to, I'm just impatient, but I'll wait. Something will change, but it may lead to a further, more destructive emotion coming up. So anyway, of the causes of problems, so we in Buddhism they've narrowed it down to 2, because in Buddhism again they love long lists and 5 of this and 10 of that, but they've said the cause of problems are 2. So the first one is an overly egocentric attitude towards ourselves, and they call this the self-cherishing mind, where our main focus is on just ourselves. So would you say that would be a Buddhist trait, to have that sort of self-cherishing? Is it just Buddhists who are self-cherishing, or what's that? Everyone is. Yeah. So that's the natural. Sorry, go on. That's human nature. So it's to what about me and what's in it for me. So it's natural, and it's natural in that that's what occurs spontaneously, isn't it? Our focus is on ourselves and our own welfare and benefit. So, and in this particular tradition of Buddhism, there's a strong emphasis on utilising the self or the person as the means for developing happiness for others. So through various methods, which encompasses cherishing others. So in contrast to solely cherishing ourselves. So in Buddhism, then no one's saying, "Oh well, I'm going to start cherishing others, so you have to give everything away." It's true, isn't it? You give all your wealth away. You give your title to your house away, your car, everything, and then you say, "Well, now I'm not cherishing myself. I'm I'm free to cherish others, but you've turned yourself into someone who perhaps can't help anyone. So that's not so skillful. So that's not what I'm talking about. So it's really talking about a change in motivation or a mental shift. That's it. So I'm cherishing myself. I'm a capable being. Could I cherish others? So you have to ask that question first. Is it possible to cherish more than just me? Yes? Okay. Anyone else? Would anyone? Yes, possible? Yep. Okay. Would anyone say no? It's impossible? Because if the natural state is to cherish ourselves, can we overcome that or turn it around? Sorry, Lucy?
We look after others spontaneously.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, mums and brothers and sisters. So there is. That's true. So very true, because we have that warm-hearted nature. So as Lucy said, we've got it from our family, brothers and sisters. So from when we were young, that was nurtured within us because they were warm to us and looked after us. So we do have that within us, that warm-hearted nature. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? So even though we say, Mark is so selfish, you go, well, I know, I can still go, well, look, no, I've still got something in me that's warm-hearted. And that's the basis that we use that as the basis for beginning to explore the idea of cherishing others. And that's because that warm-hearted nature can be cultivated and developed. It needn't be just a dormant memory from when we were children and our mum and dad and brothers and sisters looked after us. It sort of we can develop it further. So to develop that warm-hearted nature to enter that idea of benefiting others, we have to have motivation. So if you reach the door and you go, well, I'm self-cherishing Mark, and I understand the idea of cherishing others, and I've got that warm-hearted nature from when I was a child, and I was raised well, so there's no real major trauma, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to develop that warm-hearted nature any further. I'll muddle through. So you can do that. That's perfectly valid. So, but in this tradition of Buddhism, they go, no, that's the main practice, is that cherishing others more than ourselves. So when they give examples of cherishing others more than ourselves, and we go, okay, it's a mental attitude and it leads to action, who benefits as a result of someone's positive action towards another? Like if you really go out of your way to benefit someone, who benefits in that case? Sorry? It ripples, yes. So the person you're helping or benefits, it might ripple out to other people that they're around. But there's also a bounce back as well that we benefit, even though we didn't do the action to get kudos or benefit ourselves, but it benefits ourselves as well. So that's very good, isn't it? Because we didn't mean it to do that action for our own benefit, but it happened anyway.
There's actually research that shows your blood pressure lowers if you do something for someone else, and your mental health improves. You know, when they line people up and do all those things, they gave people choices of having some money and keeping it for themselves, self-care, and doing something for someone else. And those who chose to do something for someone else lowered their blood
Yeah.
So it's a plus. I mean, not that you want to do it that way. But
No, that's true. That's true. There are benefits. So again, it.
Can I just ask, in a sense, do we have to, or one cares for oneself in order to care for other people?
Yeah, correct. Because
Correct.
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 Yes, correct. No, it is correct, because if you don't care for yourself, if you don't look after yourself, then you're not of much benefit to other people, because you become maybe impoverished or a mess, emotionally, not good. So you just go, all right, no, there's still. So again, in this tradition of Buddhism, the person is the vessel for benefiting others. So you have to take care of that, feed, clothe, look after the person emotionally, etc. So it's still there. It still happens. So, but the benefit comes back to the person doing the action, but also you benefiting others. And as that lady indicated, there's a ripple effect, which is good, isn't it? So this is the small action. Maybe the result's going to be pretty big if it's done it with the right motivation, etc. So I think, so I'm going to cover a few other topics, but let's do a little bit of meditation. So just make yourself comfortable, and the main thing with meditation is try and keep your back straight. So keep your mouth closed so you're breathing through your nose. And the focus of the meditation to begin with is going to be on the breath. So keep your hands gently on your lap and your thumbs pointing back towards the navel. And your eyes are not completely shut or completely open, they're just letting an impression of light in. So just breathing gently through the nostrils. And as you're breathing out, all your anxieties, worries, concerns of the day are being removed. And as you're breathing in, let beautiful enlightened energy come into you. And then switch your focus just to the breath, focusing on breathing gently through the nostrils, and try and keep your intention there on that sensation. And if your concentration wavers, just slowly bring your attention back to the breath. So as the mind is now more at rest, so continue to breathe gently, but think that may all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. So this is the wish, and do the best you can to stay on that idea. So gently bring your awareness back to the room and you can open your eyes. So that meditation hopefully will give you an indication of the mind maybe was a bit jittery at the beginning, or lots of thoughts going through, and then by the end it's sort of more subdued. And then by introducing the idea of, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness, and just focusing on that, it's good to mull over, what does that actually mean? So that idea of all beings having happiness and the cause of happiness, that's the actual Buddhist definition of love. So there's not so much, in Buddhist texts, there's not so much investigation of romantic love as such, but they talk about the idea of love being, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. So that's an interesting one. So that's part of that expansiveness of the mind. You can go, okay. So by introducing the idea of, breathing meditation, and then we had, all the, distractions and disturbances going out as we're breathing out, and then as we're breathing in, enlightened energies coming in, and then putting that expansive thought within the meditation, may all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness, and then we're finished. So you just go, so there's a few things that play in that meditation, but they're all Buddhist ideas, so that we have. So does anyone have an idea what that enlightened energy would be that's coming into you as you're breathing in?
Could it be just an absence of my own ego and my own thoughts?
Yes, it is. Definitely absence of your own ego and thoughts, yes. But in Buddhism, there's also a strong reliance on the enlightened beings or enlightened energy. So we say, what would that be? It's not God, it's not a creator, so who is that? And so behind us on the wall there are lots of images there. In fact, two over there's a green female Buddha just there, and then to her right is a white female Buddha as well. So that's Tara. So it's the female Buddha there. So, and that's what Tara Institute is named after, the female Buddha. So that's enlightened energy, and Tara's aspect is action. So if anyone calls out or seeks aid or needs assistance, then Tara will come quickly to assist. So So that's all part. That's part of this tradition of Buddhism. It's quite a big part. So it's a good segue because Damien Busby, who I think most people know, who he was in here helping set up the microphone and the camera. So he's leading Tara Puja on this Wednesday and the following Wednesday. So if anyone's interested in those practices, they're very good. So
You actually say Tara's energy is coming when you feel that
yes.
enlightenment.
Yeah, so that's exactly, Carol, yes. So it's not, so the fellow there behind you, he made a good point. It could be your absence of ego, and so it is that, but it's also something external. It could also be your future potential as well, to be enlightened as well, coming to the fore. But if we're not enlightened, then we can go, oh, I can rely on someone who has already developed that enlightened state to assist me for a good reason, not just for ego. So
That's a bit scary. I better want that it isn't you develop it yourself and then Tara is outside and not in.
yeah. So there's different ways of doing that practice. So it's probably not the night to go into detail about that, but you can have the visualization where Tara is above you, and sending energy into you, and that's perfectly valid. So and I think if Damien's doing that practice, I think that will be part of that practice as well. So it's quite interesting. So it's not. So although we say, well, it's the individual who's having to do all the work and, generate the motivation and do the action, there's still some assistance. So, so there's an analogy of the doctor, the nurse, and the medicine. So the Buddha and the spiritual community and the teachings are those three things. The doctor. So why do we need a doctor? Couldn't we cure ourselves of everything at the moment? So could we, if we're sick, could we just go, yeah, I know what to take, I can fix myself? Well, most of the time we probably can, but sometimes we get some sort of illness or quirk or something that we can't fix ourselves. We need someone who's more skilled to go, you need to take this, or you need to go and see this person. And that's the idea of the Buddha, that there's perhaps someone who's already achieved that enlightened state, which we have the potential to do, but we haven't yet. So that's the Buddha there. And then the spiritual community is sort of the assistants, helping promote those teachings. And then the actual medicine, generally they say it's the teachings themselves. If you study or listen to, or they're the actual real cure, if you like, is those teachings. Incorporating them into your own lives. So we do use that external form of Tara. We pray to Tara for assistance. So long life, good health, etc. for our family, friends, etc. So freedom from sickness, world peace, so lots of things. So because once the being achieves that enlightened state, there's no I'm enlightened now, so my work is done, I can rest on my laurels. So because their motivation is always to benefit others, they will continue to do that even after they've achieved that enlightened state. So we have that with the Dalai Lama. So he's sort of, the promise to to keep returning again and again, because there are beings who need assistance. So he won't. So I've passed away and that's it. I won't be around anymore. It's sort of like, oh no, I'll keep returning. And so hopefully all of our teachers make that sort of promise and commitment. So with that intention or motivation of warm-heartedness, so we can develop the attitude of patience. So what is patience? What is impatience?
I don't know, patience is supposed to be like waiting, like without like quarrel or issue. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, so ease of mind, waiting, sort of. It's sort of like a forbearance as well, isn't it? Whether something's happened or not, you're. Sorry? Less expectation, yes. That's good. They're all aspects of patience. So, and what does that idea of patience mainly counteract in terms of negative emotions? Anger, yes. Very good. So there are three aspects to anger. So this first one is ignoring the harm caused by others. So it's sort of that acceptance, whatever happens, because we understand the nature of the situation and its causes. So that's the main one. So the opposite of that is giving in to anger. And when we give in to anger, anger's strongly related to that idea of hatred. There's some sort of hatred when we have a moment of anger. It's not love and then anger. It's sort of like, oh, I've really, okay. There's some element of hatred tied in with anger. The second aspect of patience is enduring, or that forbearance. So it's the idea of I'm working towards a goal, so I'll put up with these small sort of inconveniences or being uncomfortable or slights or whatever it is, because I have a goal in mind that I want to achieve. I won't be distracted. And the third aspect of patience is this is a unique one, I think. It's the patience of keeping some form of concentration. So if you're meditating and that you won't be, if you're meditating on the breath, you won't be pulled away by, what am I going to eat for lunch tomorrow? Or what am I, you'll pull yourself back to whatever your task is at hand. You'll have that patience of keeping your mind on the job at hand. So for that, however long that meditation is, for example. So those are the three aspects, and they're mainly overcoming anger, but there's also a few other sort of aspects thrown in. So as I mentioned before, anger is the destroyer of that positive potential. So it's good to utilise any techniques we have at hand, and Buddhism provides quite a few to actually mitigate that anger or minimise it. So, and we're not trying to. There's the anger. We're not trying to go, I'm fine, and then when we let go, it sort of we explode. It's still there within us, so we don't want that. We actually have to mentally deal with it. So the anger's twofold. It's either we experience being the object of anger from someone, or we get angry. So can be two ways of it happening. In both instances, the thought is to harm. And as I mentioned before, intertwined with that is some form of hatred. So with anger, it's quick to rise, can lead us to explode into action, and then it can quickly dissipate. And in either instance, whether we're receiving anger or we're acting with anger, at the time of that moment of anger, there's no experience of happiness for the perpetrator. So does that ring true, or is that a bit far-fetched, or doesn't actually happen in real life? Exactly how it is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you can hold because in the human mind, I mean, we can hold multiple thoughts and emotions within us, can't we? We can have bubbling away, all that. But at the moment we have that anger, there's no happiness within us. So that's what it is. It could be because it's overwhelming. Can anyone see an instance of where, when we act with anger, it could lead to a good result? Yep. What's that? Which one? Give me an example.
Some people use anger and aggression and violence to get what they want, and then if they get in a habit of that, because there's chaos.
Uh-huh. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so that's a good result for them, isn't it? Yeah. Because they've acted with anger, they've caused harm perhaps, and it's led to a good result for them. So in terms of the immediate result, you'd say, yeah, that's true, isn't it? Standover man, In fact, there was what did they show? On the news tonight, they showed the bottom down of a guy in a country tobacco shop, and it was a video camera, but it wasn't shooting him from the top, it was shooting him from the pants down, and he was saying, if you don't you need to close your shop and get out of here, or we'll be back in 3 weeks' time to burn the shop down. So there's a good example of that, and sure enough, a few weeks later, the shop was burnt to the ground. So it's sort of like, the immediate result for that person, they've got the result they wanted. They torched the place. They were able to close the business down, or got the money, whatever they were after. So we'd say immediately, there's a good result for them. But in terms of cause and effect, it's not such a great result for them, is it? So, because they've created a lot of harm and destruction. So if you're talking about cause and result, you'd say, well, yeah, down the track, might not be this lifetime, but it's not such a good result from that action. But it's a great example, isn't it? You think, well, yeah, the immediate thing is, that's fine. No worries. Anger is good. But what about parents yelling at their children to not run across the road? Is that anger? Protection, yeah. So the motivation in that instance is not to destroy the kid or whatever, it's to stop them being harmed. So there's a very good motivation, and the result is your voice is raised.